dear Minister Hoekstra, dear members of Parliament, dear ambassadors and journalists, dear representatives of international organizations, political and judicial communities, dear people, first of all, people of the Netherlands. And I'm glad to be in your strong country now, the land of freedom and justice, which are universal values, and it is about these things that I will speak today. Of course, we all want to see different Vladimir here in The Hague. The one who deserves to be sentenced for these criminal actions right here in the capital of the international law. And I'm sure we will see that happen when we win, and we will win. And when we win not just on the battlefield, not just against this aggression, look at how countries around the world are coming together to help Ukrainians defend themselves. What is at the heart of this desire to help? The feeling that more than the fate of one country is at stake. The feeling that more can be achieved than the defeat of one aggressor. We can now stop wars of aggression as such. We can defeat aggression as a criminal idea that originates in the mindset of someone who is used to impunity. Impunity is the key that opens the door to aggression. If you look at any war, any war of aggression in the history, they all have one thing in common. The perpetrators of the war didn't believe they would have to stand to answer for what they did. They must stand to answer for war. However brings war must receive judgment. Ladies and gentlemen, defeating impunity of aggressors means destroying the origins of aggression. Victory in the war is won by force of arms. That's how the job gets done. And I'm grateful to you and the Netherlands for every piece of weapon supplied to Ukraine, for everything that helps us to maintain our defense and gradually prepare our active actions. But we know that the lasting peace after victory is achieved by nothing else but the strength of values. First of all, it's the strength of freedom and of law, which must work to the full of ensure justice, not hybrid promises instead of human rights. Real freedom, not hybrid impunity and symbolic formalities, but full-scale justice. Not hybrid peace and constant flashes of violence on the front line, but reliable peace when one respects values. True freedom, true justice, true peace is respected instead of hybrid forms. But it's exactly what we need now. Please think about one number. Now, this number is 6,139. This is the number, contradict number of war crimes committed by the Russian occupiers this April alone. These Russian crimes led to the deaths of 207 Ukrainian civilians. Among them are 11 children. Another 17 children and 400 adults were injured in a month alone. And the full-scale Russian invasion has been going on for the 15th month. Just yesterday, it was yesterday, in our Kherson region alone, Russia killed 23 people. 49 were wounded. I'm speaking about civilians. And it all started more than 9 years ago with the occupation of our land, with the occupation of Crimea and Russia's bloody hybrid war in the Donbass. Thousands and thousands of war crimes, thousands and thousands of victims. The Russian rocket that killed 23 people in the city of Uman, and each of the millions of strikes fired by Russian artillery in the Donbass. Every person killed by the occupiers in Bucha, and every filtration camp that Russia set up on our independent land. Every prisoner who was tortured in the Russian captivity, and every city deliberately burned by Russia, and all the pain suffered by the Dutch people after the downing of MH17 flight with the use of the Russian weapons by the Russian hands. Exactly, by the Russian hands. And please observe a minute of silence in the memory of all those whose lives were taken by Russia, by its terror. Please. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, friends, only one Russian crime led to all of these crimes. This is a crime of aggression, the start of evil, the primary crime. There should be responsibility for this crime, and it can only be enforced by the tribunal. Europe and the world have already had to deal with something like this. As a result, we can see the following words in the text of the judgment of the International Tribunal in Nuremberg. To initiate a war of aggression, is not only an international crime, it is the supreme international crime, differing only from other war crimes in that it contains within itself the accumulated evil of the whole. That's absolutely true. We must transform the experience of the Nuremberg process into an operating rule. That's why we insist on the tribunal creation. When there is a tradition of inevitable punishment of aggression, then there will be a tradition of guaranteed non-repetition of aggression. If we want true justice, we should not look for excuses and should not refer to the shortcomings of the current international law, but make bold decisions that will correct the shortcomings of those norms that unfortunately exist in international law. This is exactly what the creators of Nuremberg did. We should do the same now. It would be a weakness for you and for us and for all of the nations to leave full justice only to history. It would be unfair to our children and our grandchildren to hand them problems that we can solve. That's what the tribunal is for. The The sustainability of peace arises from the complete justice towards the aggressor. Ladies and gentlemen, it is wrong that someone in the world is still afraid to give full force to justice. You and I are not afraid, and I'm sure most of the world is not afraid. The aggressor must fear the full power of justice, only him. Yet, this is our historical responsibility of the modern generation to make the total punishment for aggression inevitable, to prevent the aggression against our country and also new wars. There are potential aggressors in the world, and the world must see justice to see peace fully secured. Ukrainian courts will ensure responsibility for most of the crimes of the Russian occupiers, and I'm very thankful to the International Criminal Court and to the entire team working with the ICC for the sake of justice. But only one institution is capable of responding to the original crime, the crime of aggression: a tribunal. Tribunal, not something hybrid that can formally close the topic, not some compromise that will allow politicians to say that the case is allegedly done, but a true, we need true, full-fledged tribunal, true and full justice. And I'm thankful to you, the people, leaders of the Netherlands, Prime Minister, the government, the Parliament, for being with us on this path. It's so important for us, and I thank you for supporting the establishment of the special tribunal, and I'm grateful that the International Center for the Prosecution of the Crime of Aggression will work right here in The Hague. And same here in The Hague, the register of damages from aggression will be established. And this is a step forward to creating a compensation mechanism. Damages from aggression must be compensated at the expense of the assets of the aggressor himself. And this is also a punishment for war as well as justice. I thank you for the fact that for you and us, justice really matters. Thank you, the Netherlands. Let justice really work. And when today, as always, on the 4th of May, at 8 o'clock in the evening, you will honor the memory of all those whose lives were taken away by the wars, by the Second World War and other wars. Please also remember Ukrainians, men and women, adults and children who would have been alive now, but for this aggression, the war we didn't want, the one we have to make the last, and we'll do it. Slava Ukraini! Thank you so much.